Yeah, so I guess what I've been doing to try to prepare for the test, like the few weeks leading up to it, I tried doing some meditation. I didn't stick with it 100%, but I at least a little bit, like in the mornings before the exams, or just trying to put myself into a better frame of thought. Um, Especially because like it was a second go around, there was like that, I guess, added level of like maybe just pressure on myself or just like trying to make sure that it worked out this year. Um, and then before the test, I would like before each practice test, I would try to treat it as game day. Like no distractions, try to like simulate as like the testing environment as much as possible, even though I'm home. Watch motivational videos, a lot of Kobe Bryant videos of like him and his like style of practice and stuff like that. So I just kind of try to pump myself up before each test. And I felt like that was working pretty well. Um, I only got a 162 once, so I knew that like that wasn't like necessarily guaranteed to happen, but I was like, okay, that's at least I've reached that at one point. Yeah, so kind of just watching a lot of motivational videos to try and get myself into the right mindset. And then come test day, I felt good in the beginning, and then a game just tripped me up, and then that energy kind of just carried me on to the rest, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. So let's dig in there a little bit. So when that game tripped you up, what exactly was going on? What about the game didn't you like?
Um, I can't even remember what kind of game it was exactly, but I've seen and practiced games like it. And so, and I've improved on games a lot. So I've seen a game like it. And then when I saw it in front of me, I was like, oh, okay, I've seen this before. And then just blanked and then got caught up in, wait, I know how to do this. Why can't I remember how to do this? Practice, 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 lose time, lose minutes, move on to the next game is kind of is what ended up happening.
Understood. Understood. So that blanking out, I think, is that key moment. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, is there any kind of step-by-step process you have for approaching games?
Um, it's been honestly, it's been a little bit while now, so I feel like I can't remember everything that I used to do. Um, Games used to be my hardest section, and then it ended up being one of the best. I feel like it was like games, reading comp, and then reasoning. When I look at the game, I try to go. Originally, I only did 3 games, and then I made my way to completing all 4. I tried to do what I felt was the easiest for myself, and usually left the last one to the last part of that 35-minute section. Um, I really just tried to practice as much as possible games that I've seen come up a lot, and that was kind of my strategy, and it was working pretty well.
It's a good way to go. I mean, familiarity is
Yeah.
important. I'm glad that you had done a lot of games like that before. Unfortunately, something didn't translate to the test day experience itself, and the blanking out is definitely a common symptom associated with anxiety. It's natural that that can happen. So I'm wondering, can we take your experience during your studying and ensure that it translates on test day, regardless of the stress or adrenaline associated?
Yeah, no, that would if I do end up taking it again, that's definitely something that I want to make sure happens. Um, is there anything, again, I know everyone is different, everyone has a different testing situation. But I'm wondering if I know you talked about this in the beginning of the course as well and emphasized like test anxiety and how it does happen to a lot of people. I know you had I think you had like a yoga instructor come at one point,
Yeah.
which was really good. Is there anything that you recommend to students like me who have been in my position to kind of calm down that test anxiety and just like you said to make sure that uh tests or studying strategies transfer over to game day?
Yeah, of course. I have plenty of things that I can say and will say again inevitably at some point, I'm sure. But given that we have a one-on-one conversation right now, I'd love to dig specifically into what would be personal to you for your situation. What's coming up for me is this idea of a step-by-step approach.
Okay.
I can give you all the rationalizations in the world about how this one test is not the only test and it won't make or break you. You've taken it 3 times, but you still have 2 more you can take before you hit those retake limits. All of that's true, but you've probably heard me say it before. You know it to some extent. I'm wondering about, can we create some kind of step-by-step process for you
Hmm.
where even when you get stressed on test day and you might blank out, you can have that moment to pause, get a mental reset, and then follow these exact steps and pull yourself out of the fight or flight. these exact steps so that you can say, okay, well, I'm first going to look at the initial paragraph, then the rules, then make a diagram, then make inferences, something like that. That's just one vague idea I have about this, but I would want to help you lay out something specifically for those moments if they can happen. And I also want to think about logical reasoning. Does this ever happen on logical reasoning? Could it happen? If not, why not? Reading comprehension, same deal.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And based off what you're saying, I feel like it would, like you said, kind of pull me from that moment of like shakiness. But yeah, no, I think again, I'm still not 100% sure when I would take it again, but I feel like a step-by-step process, like you said, it's something to ground you back and so like make sure that I would go about it like the way that I've been practicing.
Yeah. Because I know you have the aptitude, Michelle. I know that you have the aptitude. The question is making sure that it translates.
Right.
And people with high aptitude, they often go based off of experience and intuition, which is fantastic. And that works the majority of the time. But there are some cases where it may not work, either because you encounter something incredibly difficult, which can happen on the LSAT naturally, or it might just seem difficult because the stress level can ratchet everything up one difficulty level. So something that was maybe a level 3 difficulty for you in the comfort of knowing it's not the real thing can seem like a level 4 difficulty because you know it's the real thing. After the fact, if you could look at it later, you would see, oh, it wasn't really any harder, but it seemed harder because the adrenaline pumped you up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's with the one game I'm thinking of specifically, that's pretty much exactly what happened. I took it and was like, oh, damn, like I can't remember how to do that one, but I'll come back to it later. Took a couple days away from the test and then afterwards looked through a question that I remember being somewhat familiar and was like, it wasn't that hard because I knew how to do it. And I just got psyched myself out.
Yeah, so there we go. So that's it. That's the action step I would take. If you decide to retake, what we can do together is create some kind of step-by-step process for you that applies. We're talking about games specifically, but we can also look to see whether that might be useful for logical reasoning or reading comprehension instead. And you may not use the step-by-step process following a list for the majority of questions that you do. The experience and intuition can carry you for a lot of them. But in those key moments, I'd want you to mentally pull out that list and apply it. Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.